All right, here we are, back yet again. This is only the second time, but we are here. Let's see if I could find Mr. Michael. Hello, Pat. How are you, buddy? Thank you for ordering a copy of the record. I did notice that, and I do appreciate that greatly. Are you still at Medphone? I don't even know if that exists anymore. Let me send him a message so he knows that we're here. Hello. Oh, there he is. Let's get you on here, buddy. See if we get him.
So how do I sound? Do I sound okay?
You sound good. Are you outside? I lost you there for a sec. You're going in and out. I appreciate you attempting to join.
Hello.
Hey, there you are.
So here's how stupid I am. Is you sent a message that was like, I think we'll go about 55 minutes, and I was like, that sounds great. We'll start at 8:15 because that message came at like 7:19. I thought it was we're gonna start 55 minutes from now, like an idiot, like a fool. So right now I'm out of the house. Do you guys? Is it okay? Do you want to join me when I go into the liquor store?
This is great. Yeah, this is a peek into the life. This is more than I expected. Yeah, of course. Let's.
It's the authentic experience. I also have to finish smoking this cigarette before my dad inevitably joins to watch this because he'll get upset with me.
Yeah, let's hopefully he doesn't know you. That's pretty impressive if you could still hide it from him after all this time.
Well, I don't actually. I go through phases. It's mostly a summer thing. I'm not trying to hang out, getting frostbite on my fingers and what have you in the winter. But I recently made the discovery the bodega around the corner from me sells loose cigarettes, which is fantastic for when you have the daily task of walking a small dog and listening to the podcast that your girlfriend hates. Is you smoke a cigarette, you walk a dog. You feel very, very continental.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's great. I just love the fact that there are still places that sell loose cigarettes.
Oh, so good. I
didn't
always feel bad. Oh, they're more than you think, and I always feel bad when I go someplace that definitely does, and I ask for one, and they tell me that they don't. So I'm like, something about me looked like a cop today.
I think you're a cop. I love that.
That's enough. We shouldn't have to do this whole thing out in the street. I'm going to put on a mask. I'm going to go by.
You're gonna.
How you got, little boy? What's happening?
What's going on?
I'm going up with the rail. What time you got?
Hang on. I can't see. I'm in the middle of a call, so I can't check the time right now. It's probably, I'm going to guess it's probably about 8:05.
Ooh, 8:03.
Thank you so much. 8:03. It's 8:03. I'm being told that it's 8:03.
Thank you very much. Push in the bush.
Have a good one. Yeah, so. I was going out to go and get the ingredients for a whiskey Coke. And I had the Coke, but not the whiskey. So
You need 4. I
like it.
Yeah. Do you have any questions set up?
I have some things. I don't know. You want to take a question in the bodega, or do you want to wait?
That's a good. I don't know. Well, the first thing to figure out is if we're going to go for the cheaper whiskey or the nicer whiskey. Did you get the Bullet?
Haven't had that before.
Whoa, Bullet is not cheap.
I know. Go for the nicer.
Bullet's good. Bullet's good stuff.
Yeah. As long as I'm going to be captured on camera getting a bunch of alcohol, I should not make it clear exactly how dire my financial straits are.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish I could join you for a drink.
I know. Someday. You got to kind of like take a tally of every time you would have been out with somebody going to get a drink, and then someday you'll just have one night that you can barely remember where you get to have them all at once.
Yeah, I mentioned it last week, but I haven't drank in 4 months. So I mean that like in more ways than one. Like I wish that lockdown wasn't a thing, and I miss it. But.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going pretty hard. I was out with, it was the 20th anniversary of my friendship with Dylan from the band, our bassist. And so he was like, "Want to get a 20th anniversary drink tomorrow after practice?" And here, I'm going to call them in and grab the alcohol. And then we're going to go. Okay. There we go.
Oh, what do we?
Okay. It's like you're playing me as a first-person shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like pressing E to grab this.
You can't be in too financial straits. You going for the bullet. That's good shit.
It's nice. Well, I had my last week of. Can I go first? Thank you so much. I had my last week of my job last week, so I'm still technically trying to like celebrate it.
Sure.
You know.
Congratulations. Were you like? Are you leaving for good reasons or were you?
No.
Okay.
No, I got laid off. I work for a fashion company, and you may not have heard this, but people have not been going to stores a lot, and it turns out that has a big impact on the bottom line.
I got maybe 40% of those words.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Once we're out of here, I'll take off the mask, and then you'll be able to get hopefully more of the words.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. Hello, Abby, the adventurer. This is Bodega Situations with the Hell Yeah Babies.
You're capturing me in my most natural state, which is being slightly too late to something because I read something wrong and I'm stupid.
Hello, John.
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
All right. Oh, okay. Now we're all good. I'm gonna go home.
How far
Make
are
a
we
quick
from
drink.
home now?
Oh, I'm like a block. It's not that bad. There's 2 liquor stores within very close proximity to my home, and one is more chaotic than the other. I was in the less chaotic one just now.
Okay.
The other one, like due to the bulletproof glass situation, it's just very, very close quarters, and it's hard to tell what the line is, and if you're in the line, and who is in the line before you, and who's just looking at other stuff. Nightmarish.
Are you in Bed-Stuy still?
Yeah, that's right. I live. Well, you can see. I guess I'll dox myself. I used to live right there above Fancy Nancy, and then we had the #1 worst landlord in the city, as decided by public defender Letitia James, and they were so bad, and there were so many lawsuits against them. They just kind of said fuck it and sold all of their properties, and now are, shitting up Los Angeles in whatever way that they enjoy.
Right.
And
what's up, Nick?
As a result of the building being sold, me and my girlfriend got kicked out very suddenly, which is not wonderful. But the good news is that we were able to find an apartment that is literally down the block.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not bad.
I was on your website earlier, and I noticed that in the one of the logos you shout out Queens.
Yes.
So I was wondering, what's up, Sam? I was wondering if Queens was your home, but I guess Bed-Stuy still, which is cool.
Bed-Stuy for me, I don't know. I feel like Queens is where I'm from, and that's also where.
Are you from? You're from? I didn't know that. You're from New York.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I grew up in Queens, and then my family moved to New Jersey, and then I went to school in Maryland, which is where I met Sam. And for a while, we actually, once I moved back to New York, I lived in Astoria on 43rd and Broadway, and Sam lived on 44th and Broadway, and Julian and Dylan lived together on 45th and Broadway together. So it was like as close to the Beatles' dream of all sort of sleeping in bunk beds in one room as you can get without losing your mind, I guess.
So you're from Queens. Where are the other guys from?
Sam is from Maryland, Frederick, Maryland. I'm trying to keep this at a flattering angle. Sam's from Frederick, Maryland.
Right.
Dylan and Julian are from New Jersey, although Julian was born in Missouri, in St. Louis, Missouri, which is why.
Okay.
But they moved before he could remember anything, and so if you watch our tour diaries, the one that we do in St. Louis is fun because it's like, Julian got a chance to go back to where he's actually from.
Right.
Which, a rare treat. Okay. Let's go in here. Cool. Mitch, I've got bad news.
What?
I accidentally had to start the call while I was out of the house.
What call?
So I'm on the show right now.
Okay.
Can I ask you to pour this together with Coca-Cola and then take it? Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm very confused by your demeanor.
Yes.
It's because you're on the phone.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
I'll bring you a drink.
And then, of course, here's my three-legged dog.
Oh.
Turkey Hero.
Literally? Hey,
yeah, she's got 3 legs.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Making it work, making it happen.
She's a champion. Okay, all right, now we're back.
Okay.
This is the room that I should actually be having this conversation in. Wall of Stephen King books.
Are you gonna settle in? Are you gonna settle in at any point, or will you keep walking the whole time?
No. Now, from now on, I'm gonna give me 1 second to turn on the fucking light in here, and then you'll be able to actually ask me questions without me fucking panting because I haven't really moved in like 6 months.
Yeah, it's all right. Take a breath if you need. Hi, Tommy. How are you? I like the new song. Sounds good. Of what I heard from it. What's up, Hero? Aren't you at practice right now? Sound like your dad. That was weird.
Okay.
So if you're just joining us, we're on with Mike from the Hell Yeah Babies, and we actually caught him while he was in the middle of a liquor store run. So now we're getting settled in and dialed in and all fun stuff.
Yeah, because what I figured out is, let's see what we got here.
All right. Looking good.
Okay, there we go. That should work a little bit better.
All right. I feel my heart rate going down now.
You can relax.
There was something very chaotic about the pacing, and it was kind of like watching like Uncut Gems or something.
Yes, there was a lot of, the frantic energy of a man who has not realized how early he's supposed to be on a show. But now I can get in the position that I meant to be in, which is being like, oh my god, Mike, it's so good to see you, dude. It's,
Oh,
sorry, meant to be.
You're funny.
Psychotic.
It's good to see you too, man. It's good to see you too. I started doing these live series, this live show, whatever you want to call it. It's a play. It's a play on our album title, which is Small World. So we're calling this Small Talk. We had our first show last week with my friend Matt, and yeah, we're having fun with it. So I thought of hitting you up. I know we were talking about doing something on your end, and then I guess it didn't happen, or we might do it in the future.
Oh yeah, because we do a quiz show on Thursday nights. So we'll just have on a future one. It's no big deal. I'm not leaving the house.
Right. So one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, because, like I said, we started doing this live stream as kind of like a way to just engage a little bit and get the word out about the album that we have coming out. We put out a couple of singles already, but it's, you know how it is, like there's no live shows. Everyone's trying to figure out like what the move is. And one of the people and one of the bands that I think is kind of doing things in a really interesting way is you guys. So at what point, and I don't know if I have my timeline correctly, but were you doing the Twitch stuff before the lockdown, or was it
No. So what happened was we went in in February, back in a time when you could be in a small room with a number of other people shouting for about 8 hours, we went in the studio with our friends at Telegraph Hill Records and recorded a new single. It's Great Shot Kid. It's out now everywhere that you can get music. And we were lined up to do a very, very exciting show at Gramercy Theater with our friend Tommy London, and that was going to be huge. Wow. And that was going to be on June 6th. So as that date approached, and of course everything got canceled because we're trying to save people's lives.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were still releasing the song on the same date because it didn't seem, we didn't want to just hold on to it until when? Because then it's like, I don't even know when this is going to come out. And our friends in a band called Fantastic Plastics had been doing Twitch stuff that was really, really amazing and inspiring. And now, mind you, they live out in Illinois, and so they are able to have a really cool, expansive home studio and big green screen chroma key stuff, and they live together so that they do get to be in the same room together, which we don't have the benefit of. But we wanted to still do something to commemorate the release of the single.
Right.
And one of the things that I thought about is that when you're in a band, there is this pressure to make a music video because it makes you legitimate, like it makes you a real band.
Right.
And you lay out a not insignificant amount of time and money trying to put together a music video, and
Absolutely.
there's no guarantee that anybody's going to care.
No, not at all.
You know, and
It's a very good point.
um, and so you know, you have all these wonderful friends who have made wonderful videos that we enjoy watching and great songs that we love, and so we figured, why not do like we basically run it like an old school MTV curated playlist show. So I mean, it's usually somewhere between like 25 and 30 bands get their videos together, and then we really love stuff like the Best Show and what's the other one? Best Show, and there's a show called E1 that have like an expansive like inner universe of fictional characters. So we have like our own universe of characters on the show as well. Like our friend Nick Miller, who's a fantastic musician, he plays like the Pittsburgh millionaire that owns the radio station that we have stolen the signal from. And but recently he lost custody of the station in his divorce. So right now I think we're technically owned by a startup called Thanos, which is like Theranos. So there's like a fake sort of Elizabeth Holmes type who is like the person who runs it. Yeah, and it's like it's a good way for us to just be little psychos, because we missed making. We used to do a lot of promos that were like 80s sitcom style stuff, and well, now we don't have shows to promote, so it's not really as useful to do that. So yeah.
So essentially, the plan was to do it for the first, because you did a lyric video for Great Shot Kid. So, and then you just liked the idea and you kind of stuck with it.
I mean, the response is fantastic, and it's one of those things. You know how when you have when you ever go see a show of a band, like usually like a funk or a soul band, and they have like 12 members,
sure,
and the room is absolutely fucking packed for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not just because they are a great band, of course. It's also because if you have 12 members and everybody on stage only brings 2 people, you've still got like a 25, 30 person crowd, and it's not bad. And so it's the same thing where if you have 30 bands in the bill, then the people who are watching it are all going to be in separate places and watching along and playing along in the chat. And I think we're very gifted with a fan base who are horny little psychos, and it makes it very fun to. I think that one of the main benefits for the other bands is to like watch new people respond to the music that you're playing in real time in the chat and talk about what they like.
Yeah.
And so.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go off. Go off.
I was just gonna say, we've played a few shows together, and I have to definitely agree that you guys have a really great community of people that not only do they come out. I mean, every time I've seen you guys, there's been at least a decent crowd,
and
they seem to be like really into it. Like they seem to. I don't get the sense, in other words, that it's like, hey, we brought out our friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They seem like your friends, but they also seem like they actually are into the band, which is, let's be honest, you don't always see that.
We're very, very lucky that our friends are also legitimate fans of the band.
Right.
And so it's stuff like, for a while at my job, what would happen was about once a year, my boss would bring in one of his like rich friends. Would bring in like one of his rich friend's daughters to be like an intern, and nobody else was available to show her what to do. So of course they asked like a fucking 30-year-old temp to like show this girl around. And we ended up talking with the band, and she was like, "Oh, so you're kind of like a cult band?" And I was like, "That is the kindest way you could describe it. Yes, that's it. We're a cult hit."
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, I think the last time we played together was at the Footlight, and
yes.
I made a comment to one of my band members that I could totally see you guys being like one of those, almost like a band that like a documentary gets made on, like this like cult classic New York City band. Like I think that's hello Peter, how are you? I think that's like totally spot on. But you brought something really interesting up, and this is part of the reason that I like to talk to like peers, because I mean there's just not a lot of people who kind of understand like quote unquote the game, if you will. You know,
Sure.
like there's people that do music, and then there's people that are like in the game. You
Yeah.
know, and I would say that you guys are definitely in the game. And when you're totally spot on about music videos. Like, they're important. Like, you know, everything's about like your output now, but obviously they can be really expensive. And like you said, there's no guarantee, even if it's a great piece of video, there's no guarantee that it's like going to catch on, or that anyone, I mean, to use your words, is going to quote give a shit. Do you guys go the route of like PR and kind of hired help, or do you do a mix of that? If you don't want to speak about that process, I
No.
understand. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
I think that one of the things that we are trying to do is you have to reach, I feel, a sort of critical mass of notoriety before places with resources and influence will notice you and then start to exert that on your behalf.
yeah.
And so I think that we're still working on that. And it's like, I think that we see a lot of natural organic growth, just because if you have ever, people who get brought to our shows by their friends and are able to trust their friends that their friend's band is good, who come and see us.
Yeah.
They always have a great time. They're always incredibly surprised, sometimes insultingly surprised that we're actually good. And so, we did use we did work with a PR company for this last release for Great Shot Kid. Worked with City Bird, and I don't know, and they did good work for us, and they got us a couple of interviews and some stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't have good answers for some of this, because I think in many ways we feel like we'd like to move up a weight class, and we're always trying to figure out what the strategy is for doing that. And so one of the ways of doing that is by doing this show, because like, it's, much as it is out of the goodness of our hearts, it's also a promotional exercise,
Of course.
because you want to get people who are interested in the other band to show up and see your band as well, like any regular show, right? But the difference is that you have 30 bands.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with music videos, you know, PR is obviously a big time investment. When the right decision to utilize it is something that a lot of people don't get right. I myself have gotten it wrong in the past, where I brought PR on, and it's like, hey man, like get your act together before, you know, you don't need to bring someone else into this fold. Now we're in a position where, you know, we have people around us as a support system with the distribution deal that we signed, and then that led to other opportunities. But in the past, you know, it's like it's so hard, because people want to work with you when you're kind of like a trusted commodity. Not when you're just like, hey, like, look, like, can you listen to my music, because like it fucking bangs. Like,
You got to be able to offer something to them. It's yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's like, it's kind of like a leverage thing, you know. So it's like, I try not to take it personally too, but I totally see it where it's like, we have opportunities now of people that are like, they'll work with us without batting an eye, and it's because we're associated with so and so or such and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally, it's a weird thing to figure out, and like, we're still figuring it out, of course. Like, we're nowhere where we would like to be, but you know, it's something that we're working on. So I'm just kind of curious, because it's so fun for me to like talk to people who know about this shit, because it's like, it's really hard to talk to. I'm sure you experience this, like, you know, whether it's family members or friends, they're just like not in the loop, and it's like, you sound like, it's like, where do I even start trying to explain like the fucking like wave of chaos that, you know, this shit is. And you know, it's, I don't know.
Certainly. I mean, you know, and you know, I'm very lucky that my parents are very supportive of my music and everything. But on the other hand, there are like intricacies to trying to get things, the intricacies of, say, trying to get things on the radio or whatever, that I just don't quite understand.
Exactly.
You know, like, and so I don't know. I mean, I certainly I have devised ways to have fun, and I have a lot of ideas. But I think if I was really that smart, then I would not have just been fired from a day job and wondering what I'm going to do with my life. So who knows?
I'm curious to hear about that, if you don't mind speaking of it. But before I forget, one of the things that I thought was really interesting, which was another, you're always coming up with like creative things to do, and I really appreciate that. One
you.
was, can you talk a little bit about the pitchfork story?
Well, I was just fucking around with that. I'll pull it up, I guess. But I'm really blessed that the four guys in the band, which is really run as a democracy. I'm the only one on here tonight just because it's hard to get more than one person on an Instagram. We don't want to have everybody crammed in, not wearing a mask and whatever. Right. But they're my best friends. They're truly my best friends. Two of them I've known for about 20 years, and then Sam, we went to college together and only got close later, and then he joined the band, and now it's like I can't think of anybody in the world who I have more fun with than those guys, and I think that's part of why people like us. But
that's awesome.
We all just fucking love the internet. We love the internet too much, and posting, and that's a lot of where we live and where a lot of our friends live. And so, yeah, I don't know. Last year there was that really bad review, I guess, of that Greta Van Fleet album that everybody was talking about. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I mean, if you just listen to Led Zeppelin, don't sweat it, man.
They suck. I don't care if they're young. They fucking suck. When I was young, I was making banging crazy moves.
Not me. No. My first set of songs were absolutely. If it would have been very kind to call it AC/DC for stupid people. But so I don't know. We just love fucking around. So they released that very bad review of Pitchfork, and a thing that you can do that's really easy is in Google Chrome and in other browsers too, I'm sure, you can use this thing called Inspect Element. And so you can just take an existing page and, mix around. You can change the words and then, click OK, and your browser will display it to whatever you changed it as. And because that had come out, and it was really funny that people were having this response to Pitchfork having a negative review, I guess because that's still fresh to some people after 25 years or whatever of them doing this, I was like, what if I just did a fake one? What if I just did a fake one for us? And people bought it, which I thought was very funny. Let me see. It's going to take me too long to pull up now. But, I tried to use the combination of flowery prose and then sort of saying all the meanest things that we could about ourselves. So that's one.
When the night that we ran, I don't know if you remember this, but the night that we ran into each other at the Bowery Electric, I was with a group of people, my former bandmates, who were playing there that night, and I pulled up that review that you had wrote. I was like, oh, that was Mike from the Hell Yeah Babies. And two of the guys who, by the way, two of the guys that we were with, one of them is very highly respected at like what he does. He works for like MoMA as a sound engineer for all these like crazy productions. The other guy's a super talented producer. You had them fooled, man. Like they were like, man, fuck Pitchfork. Like,
yeah, I'm a little prankster. I don't know. We love doing shit like that. I'm trying to think of the other stuff that we've done to try and. We recorded a version. We just love doing bits and jokes, and we can't fucking stop ourselves. So, like, we recorded a version of the theme for the wrestler. I think it's Triple H is a song called "The Game" by Motorhead. Are you familiar with it?
Well, very, very much so.
So, somebody online had done just a vocal take imagining Elvis Costello's version of the Triple H theme, and we took a second at practice. We're like, well, fuck it, let's just do that. So we did one. So and it's all about the game and how you play it, all about control. So, did it like that, and then
That's
the other one.
Good impression, man.
We love Elvis Costello. You may not be able to tell. But then one of the other ones that we did recently was the theme to the Star Trek show Enterprise. Are you familiar with that one?
I have to admit I'm not familiar with that one.
It's okay. So most Star Trek themes, as you can imagine, are really sweeping, beautiful orchestral scores.
Okay.
But the theme to Star Trek Enterprise, which is a prequel series from the early 2000s, is this like really cheesy song about like dreams and like flying on the wings of your dreams and stuff. It's been a long road getting from there to here. It's like that type of stuff. And but over time, I find myself actually more and more charmed by it. But everybody hated it when it came out. And so I forget. Dylan did some dumb shit. He likes volunteering us for some of this stuff sometimes. But he was like, hey, if we get to 777 followers on Twitter or whatever, we'll record a punk version of the theme to Star Trek Enterprise. And I was like, well, that's a lot to sign us up for, but okay.
That
and
is
so,
really random.
Well, so we did, and we sat down and did it, and I think it turned out great. And then against all odds, so we compiled sort of in the themes to Enterprise, while this is happening, it shows you like the history of like aeronautics and exploration and these very inspiring like sets of footage of, you know, like the first flight and stuff like that and the first space shuttle culminating in the end at with like the Enterprise from the show being launched. And Dylan did this amazing video that was in the exact same style that was of like the history of rock and roll and all the different things that influence us, culminating with us being on stage and then him throwing a small toy of the Enterprise from that show. And it got me choked up against my better judgment. It was very sweet.
I love the detail that you guys will take for the most ridiculous seeming idea.
Yeah.
It's
We're psychos.
Oh boy, good stuff.
You really did your homework. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I'm a fan, and I consider, we don't see each other that often, but I consider you to be a pal.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if you could speak a little bit to the touring experiences that you guys have had. I know that there was a fairly well documented one in the spring of 2019. Would you say that was the support tour on the behalf of all the things that you believe, or was that?
I guess. I mean,
yeah.
We did it because like, so in my eyes, and I think that Dylan and Julian probably feel the same way. We probably should have been taking this as seriously as we're taking it now, maybe 5 years ago. I'm of the opinion I should not have gone to college, but
dude. I don't want to cut you off, but you said something like so important that like it needs to be reiterated, because I beat myself up about that constantly, and I think that it's really important to just understand that like you are where you are now, and be thankful that you got there, and like furthermore, like it's we can't go back in time and give our our 25-year-old, I don't know how old you are, I'm 31. You
Me too.
Can't like
yeah.
go. Okay, you can't give yourself a 31-year-old's brain when you were 25. Like,
yeah.
We went through those experiences, and we've learned to be at the position that we're in, where like for Gambler's point of view, we're finally realizing this reality of putting this record out in a meaningful way. Like through going to be in retail. It's like we have partners. It was always the goal, but I just wasn't there when we started the band. So. But I totally get that idea of like wishing you had started earlier or been working smarter back then, however you want to say it. But my point is like I'm happy that you are where you are now, and
so touring and like I try not to kill myself too much, because I think I act fairly youthful, maybe. You'll be surprised if that was actually one of the really great parts of being on tour is we played a bunch of shows and everybody would think they were 23, and I was like, thank you. that is very sweet. I'm a fully bald man wearing an earring, but that's fine. Yeah, I don't know.
Was that your first touring experience?
Yes,
with this
yes,
group?
it was.
It was.
I mean, that's the first touring experience in general. It's just like our last band didn't have the juice or the money at all. And so we really, I don't know, as you get older and the things in your, from the signal dropping?
Something was that? I can't tell whose end that was on.
You've been freezing.
Maybe it's
both
me.
of our stuff going on. But I know when your life starts to solidify in a lot of ways as you get older, and like the ability to just be like, well, I'm going to fuck off for a couple of weeks and maybe not make any money at all, farting in a van for about 4 hours a day to go hope that a bunch of people that I don't know show up in the middle of nowhere. You don't really get, like, that's the time at which you can do that for the first time. If I could, I'll go back and I would do it earlier, but the point at which you can do it, had to fucking do it, had to go out, and like, as much as we love our friends and love having them show up to your shows, there was really not, it was so excellent to be in, I think Nashville was our favorite show of the tour. It was so excellent to be in Nashville and start playing and watch people just be like, what? To just it completely to I was think of it as like flipping a room is like it's like Othello or whatever, where like when you hit one and then everybody just flips over and turns around because they can't believe what you're doing. And yeah, I don't know. We just had to do it.
You guys do that so well, man. Like your energy on stage is like remarkable. Like where does that come from? Like did you? I mean, obviously it comes from you. Like that kind of can't be taught, in my opinion. You could get some things, but like the natural charisma that you have and like the presence that you have as a front man, like to me, you're like a great front man. You know, like, and that's an important thing. But that's not so common anymore. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think in a lot of ways, you know, for many people, it's like, I don't know if it's not cool to try, or if it
right.
It does take, if you are not actually insane, it does take some vulnerability to be a total psycho on stage. It does take a little bit of running out past the cliff and then never looking down. Like, personally, I'm a really big fan of people like David Bowie and David Lee Roth are probably two of my favorite guys, and Prince and stuff like that. And I am nowhere near as flexible as any of them, unfortunately. Despite my best efforts, still can't do my splits. All of my sword tricks look like shit.
You could work. These are things you could work on, Mike.
Yeah, I'm trying every day to try and, I don't know. I wish that I didn't have to play the guitar. The guys won't let me stop playing the guitar in the band, but like what I really wish that I could do is do the leaps and hurl myself on the ground and stuff like that. But it's hard. Some people are better at that than me.
Do you think about because that's something that we went through with our band is I when we first started playing, I was playing guitar, and then one night I just threw it down and like just went crazy, and our drummer was just like, yo, fuck the guitar, just do that, just do your thing. Yeah. Do you think about that at some point?
I think that at this point, because of the way that we play, and because there's three creative, or no, there's not three. There's three singers, but there's four creative voices in the band, right? Like all of our songs are really a mix of all of us, and there's some of our songs that I just don't sing, and it'll be unfair of me to sing like Dylan's song for him, and to just make myself, I don't know, like we're a little bit wary of any one person sort of being the face of the band, so despite my big betrayal of them tonight. But like Dylan and Sam, I think that it's important that as like the three singers up front that we don't like tip that scale too far in any way. So like we do make sure that our set list, everybody sort of gets a big turn and a big moment and stuff like that. Yep. And so right now I don't think that it could work. Maybe, you know, you always think at some point in the future when you have, say, you know, a touring synth player and there will be somebody who's, after my voice is blown out, there'll be somebody with a better voice singing all of my parts mixed a little bit lower at the festivals. And then I won't have to play guitar. But until then, I guess I got to keep doing it. I'm getting better at my moves, I guess. You know?
You do have some nice moves. You definitely do. You know, since we're in lockdown and obviously there's no gigs going on, and there's a lot of venues are really in the unfortunate position of either having to close already or thinking about, you know, maybe is that in my future. There's a lot of things going on as far as Save Our Stages. And
yes, we did some little video pieces for that on our first show, and then we've been talking about it since then too. Yeah.
So something that I thought would be fun was I kind of went through a few venues that I noticed that you guys have played, and I just wanted to like run through a couple of them and just kind of get your, if you have a memory or if you have an experience or
Oh,
even
sure.
just a thought on it.
I would love that.
So I want to start. Okay, well, I'll start here. The first time we met was on a bill at a place called Don Pedro, which is no longer with us. I think
Yeah.
they closed.
Yeah. But that was a
How
while
did
ago.
you find that place to be?
Don Pedro was great. I think that Don Pedro was definitely one of the older guard of Brooklyn venues that had definitely, you know, hosted the venerated garage rock acts of the early 2000s that came out of New York, and Nothing Gold Can Stay. And that was I remember one time we played there, and I forget if this was the same show if you guys or if it was a different one, but there's an intro to one of our songs called Vampire Girlfriend that sometimes will just like start with a samba beat where like Julian will just start that and we'll start doing the thing. And so I got to go out. It was the crowd was really packed that night. It was not our fault. There was a band called, I think it's Sundogs, and for whatever reason, their like families had flown up from like Florida to see this show or whatever, and like they had just it was just a huge event for them.
No,
So it was already a huge party. That was the same show? Okay.
That was our show.
Yeah.
I remember that. Oh shit.
And so then I got to.
Yeah.
They were good. And then I got to go out in the audience and like I did like a conga line for a while with everybody, which was really fun. And then got to go on stage and do the. Yeah, that was fun.
I remember this. I remember that now. That was a fantastic show.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
I think we might have some footage from it, but.
That was a good one, man. That was a really good one. Okay, let me get a couple more here that I have.
Let's go.
So how did the Tompkins Square Park thing come about? That was pretty interesting.
So let's see. Through our friend's gift shop, we were introduced to a guy named Ira, whose last name I want to say Zadikoff, and he's just a really nice guy, really enthusiastic about music, really. I think gives so much of himself into what he does, and is very, very supportive. And he told us that he was putting together like a special. He told us he was putting together like I don't know a Lower East Side or an East Village type festival outdoor show. He wanted to know if we would be on the bill, and so we committed to it. And we were fairly excited to do it, but I had my doubts about what the setup was going to be like. Like I was expecting maybe a drum riser, a little tent, and
right.
And constant feedback, and maybe have to bring one of our own mics or something like that. But then I show up, and it's like it is a real stage. It is a real constructed stage. They have an actual sound booth like out in the audience with its own tent in it. They had cameras on stage that were being controlled so they could do like a live stream. And the absolute tragedy of it was rain that day. It was just pouring rain like all day, and it was otherwise the perfect temperature. And it's like this would be totally packed and would have blown it out of the water were it not for the fact that, because like even with it raining, a lot of people were still hanging out in the park. And I don't know, everybody was vibing. All the bands had a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know. That was cool. That was a cool one. I think that we have that whole show and we like chopped it up into pieces and occasionally we post one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I didn't realize it was raining that day. That stinks.
Yeah.
You've played some very iconic New York City, a lot of Manhattan places, which is cool.
Yeah.
How about Sidewalk Cafe? That was an old stomping ground of mine.
Sidewalk Cafe is the site of our very first show, as a matter of fact, because our friend, we just started putting together the band, or rather, we had been practicing for a couple months as a two-piece, just me and Julian on the drums, and eventually, so Dylan is shorter than me, but he's a diminutive man, and he's also a musical genius, and at the time didn't live in the city, but I was like, why don't I just go ahead and buy a short-scale bass? And I was like, hey, Dylan, do you want to try playing the bass? And so then, of course, I just always wanted to be in a band with him again after the first time we had done it. He's my best friend. And so all of a sudden we were a three-piece, and our friend Jay asked us to play a show that he was putting together at the sidewalk. And because we were the loudest band, we got to go last. Because as you might imagine, everybody else was mostly sort of acoustic.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we didn't have, at the time, we did not have precisely matching jackets, but we all had, I think that night we all wore red. So like I think I had an actual raspberry colored beret. And one of our early things was covering raspberry beret in like a real heavy, like grungy style, and that was fun. I don't know, and that was just all of our friends who were being very supportive to us. What I actually remember the most is that after we finished our show, there was a really awesome like funk and soul band called Down North that was touring from Seattle, and then they got on stage and completely blew us out of the water. And like the front man, he was doing like the splits and the spins and everything, and I was like, "Fuck, I just got owned."
Well, that's pretty good for your first show.
Yeah.
I think I want to go for one more here. I sort of want to talk about Grand Victory because that I threw a party there once for a release of a hip hop album I did, but I actually am going to choose Arlene's Grocery because this is an iconic New York City venue. I always have a place in my heart for Arlene's Grocery whenever I've played there throughout the years.
Yeah.
I've played there with a number of different bands, but it's the site of Jeff Buckley's last New York City performance before he passed. He did a few shows like at this open mic night situation in Memphis before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
But his last like Jeff Buckley official gig, from what I understand, was at Arlene's Grocery. You guys did a few different shows there, right?
Arlene's is, I would call Arlene's one of our home bases. It's one of our places
Right.
that we're usually playing a show at every 2 months or so.
Right.
In the first band that I was in when I moved here, and I had fun. That was a band where I got to do the jumping around, but the trade-off is that I didn't really like the songs. So I would always like take a vibe dance or whatever before I went on stage, and then I go back and I listen to the singing, and I'm like, that man has a dry throat from amphetamines. This isn't as good as you thought it was. Maybe next time you should just write songs that you like, huh? But my connection to being able to play there was through the guitarist of that band, who I had a falling out with. And so I wasn't sure about it, and then a few months, and then actually years later, I gave up and then came back to music, and I was out at Arlene's Grocery seeing a show, and I saw this guy, Tommy London, who is just one of, I would say, at this point, one of the great New York rock and roll scene personalities, who used to be in a band called the Dirty Pearls. He is one of the nicest people in the world, like to the point where you think that it's fake, but he's actually just an incredibly nice, supportive person. And he, after years of not seeing each other and maybe meeting twice, he recognized me. And then we got to talking, and so he puts on these $5 rock shows on Wednesdays once a month. So he got us on a couple of those, and those are always a great time because it's cheap. But yeah, there's my favorite memory in particular from Arlene's is from a show where I'm not only am I not particularly enjoy having to play guitar. I'm not a great guitarist. I've gotten better, but I would say I'm not shredding or anything, right? But there's one time where the guitarist from me and Dylan's and Julian's old band, Big Damn Heroes, was in town, and he shreds. He's like brain genius. He just always plays the exact things that you want to play, and we always loved I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness. And
yes,
so
I've seen you play that before.
So we had him come on stage. I gave him my guitar. I got to just do the moves. He does the solos exactly like they are on the album. Everybody's losing their minds. I got to do a bunch of split. I got to jump on my back, do bicycle kicks in the air and stuff like that. And that was after a night already of sort of, I don't know, it's just a hot show of playing songs that we knew people knew, and then a couple of newer ones that we were really excited about. And that felt really good. But I always love playing Arlene's Grocery.
That's awesome, man. Now, Tommy London, he's the guy that you mentioned earlier that you guys were slated to open for at Gramercy Theater?
Yeah, that's the one. He's great.
Gramercy Theater, am I right to assume that probably would have been the biggest New York show yet?
Definitely. The only bigger venue we would have played is, through a weird condition of being friends with a radio DJ from New Jersey named Rich Russo, we got to play the anniversary of his radio show, Anything Anything. And that was us and a band called Battery Electric from Asbury Park. And then David Cassidy, the singer from the 70s who did, like, I Think I Love You. It was one of his last performances. And it was very funny because it was, like, a huge historic theater. There was, like, real food and stuff downstairs for David Cassidy's road crew. We had our own...
This is in Jersey?
Red Bank. And...
Sorry, I
and then,
you there.
But, like... yeah, it's in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Okay.
But, of course, we, like, showed up on the train, and two of us... Actually, I think all of us that day were using instruments that we just bought because we were very excited, and so we actually sounded like shit. So, like Sam had just got a new Stratocaster and didn't know which pickup he liked best, and I had just gotten a new Telecaster, and I didn't have any. I generally used to go direct into a given amplifier. I had a tuner maybe, and so I was just. That was not particularly good. I think Dylan might have been okay. He was playing a new Mustang bass, and that was probably fine. But nonetheless, it was just like there's a great video from that though, where we played "Atta Baby" from our album, and then we have like a version of "Hungry Heart" by Bruce Springsteen, because and we are also Jersey boys, so
right.
In the background between those two songs, you can hear the person taking the video. We don't know, it's just a random person. You can hear the person taking the video turn to their companion and be like, "They look like such nerds, but they rock so hard." It's like, oh, I'll take it. It's true. I can't argue with that. I know what I am.
I don't think you look like a nerd when you're up there tearing it down. But
thank you.
I suppose that's her opinion. So we're coming up on the hour here, and before Instagram cuts us off, like happened last week, and we had to scramble to try to figure out
do part two.
Yeah, I wanted to see. Well, it's up to you. Do you want to keep going for a bit, or I have another question we could end on? It's up to you.
Hit me with the next question. I have a separate trivia game show, not to be confused with the one that Gamblers will eventually be on. But I have a separate trivia show that I run later tonight that I got to kind of get ready for.
Totally cool. So
but
we'll end it on this, and you mentioned this on your post before, but you said that I guess you guys are preparing to go back into the studio. So I just wanted to see if you wanted to kind of end on that and talk about what you guys have coming up, and then just let people know. Yeah, let people know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
You got it. Oh, yes. So we worked with Telegraph Hill Records on Great Shot Kid, and it was fantastic. The process of recording it was just like so smooth. It came out beautiful. Obviously, we're very proud of our album, but because of the way we were able to work, which we worked with the awesome Jeff Berner on at Studio G in Greenpoint.
Oh, cool! Cool.
Yeah, Jeff Berner. He's the man.
He's the man. I need to hit him up. I've been seeing him a lot lately. Cool.
There's a lot of very good flavor. We can talk about it later. There's a lot of very good flavor on our album that comes from what he brought as a producer. Highly suggested.
All right,
but
cool. He seems like
when we started working, he's amazing. He's like the chaotic good Frank Zappa, as opposed to the real Frank Zappa, who's more of a lawful evil.
Yeah.
But so we started working. We were working Telegraph Hill, and when this new song, I think Great Shot Kid just blew us away with how large we could make our sound, and so we were really excited to work with them again. So there's one song called Generation Shark, and I guess we really got to call it Shark Generation because that's not the order the words go in the song, but a song called Generation Shark that we've been playing for a while, that is a sort of anti-capitalist punk song that we're very excited to actually get together and have it. We've probably recorded it like 5 fucking times now, but for whatever reason we can't get it right, and that seems like a situation where we'll have all of the tools to make it sound like it does in our heads or like it does live.
Right.
No idea when either of these are coming out, but we're also going to be recording one of our sort of new favorites that is the album, a song called Mexican Coke by Sam Paxton from our band. And that's just,
cool.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that when we played it the first time, people were able to sing along by the end of it. And that's it. There's really no greater indicator of the quality of the song than that.
Yeah,
So.
that's a really good sign.
But yeah,
Cool,
you can
man.
follow us at thehellyeahbabies.com, twitter.com/hellyeahbabies, instagram.com/hellyeahbabies, crucially, twitch.tv/thehellyeahbabies. Once a month, we do I Want My HYB, which is our roundup of music videos and fun with all of our friends. And every week on Thursday nights, most Thursday nights, on twitch.tv/thehellyeahbabies, you can watch Band League Feud, which is where I get together a lot of musicians that we know and our friends, and we play their music videos, and then we play a live. I mean, at the end, they basically just we'll buy them something from our store. But, it's always fun.
What was that last part it cut out? You play a something live?
Well, live trivia game show.
Right.
So all the band members play at the same time, and everybody. I don't know. It's a hoot. You just fuck around. I wear one of my wigs. If I had gotten the time right, I probably would have been wigged up for this, but it's fine. I just shaved this whole situation, so it's not too shabby. Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. You asked such wonderful questions, and it's always good to, get the poison out.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you again, man. It's been a while, obviously, and it's always a pleasure to see you and to see you perform. I love the band, and I can't wait to hear the new songs when they start making their way out there. So
I can't wait to hear the album. We love you guys. You're always in our hearts, and someday when we put together what will of course be perhaps a real life festival of bands that we know and are friends with. We, of course, want to make sure that we have gamblers in the mix.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being with me when I was out getting booze, too.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good night.
Take care, man. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.